जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यशोदनन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय गोपीजन वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यशोदनन्दना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय व्रजजनरञ्जना जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी चारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय यमुनतीरवनचारी जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुञ्ज बिहारी जय श्री राधा नीला माधव जय जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री छत्रवत सिंह स्वामी की जय श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। 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 So we welcome all the devotees to Srimad Bhagavatam. This is an opportunity to hear Bhagavatam in the most auspicious of circumstances. We are at the most wonderful form of Sri Chhatravat Narashimha Swami, and we are very fortunate that we are given a chance to chant the holy names of the Lord. We have been told this wonderful pastime of how the mood of Nrsimhadev here is actually steeped in ecstatic kirtan and chanting of the holy names. So it is fitting that somehow or another we should also chant the holy names of the Lord as we did just now. And by doing that we are praying that somehow or another Lord Nrsimhadev becomes pleased with us. When Nrsimhadev showers his affection on his devotees, then the result of that affection is that we become fearless. So affection is not a sentimental thing when it comes from the Supreme Lord. In the material world, when one has affection for an object, that affection very often has no long-lasting effect. The affection will end when the body ends, because everything in this world deteriorates. Very often, even in this material world, even if we don't die, our affections in time can deteriorate, because deterioration is the other component of material nature. But when the Lord showers his affection upon his devotees, then that affection is eternal. And because it is eternal, it always bestows the devotee with spiritual prosperity. Our Guru Maharaj said spiritual prosperity means that we have love of Krishna. And love of Krishna is manifested always on the basis of fearlessness. When there is fearlessness, the reason for such fearlessness is because there is strong Shraddha, there is faith. And where there is faith, a component of faith that always accompanies faith is eagerness. That is why in 284 or 285 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada translates the word Shraddhaya, Shranavata Shraddhaya Nityam. He says that one who hears continuously Srimad Bhagavatam with eagerness. Eagerness is the symptom of one who has faith. That's why when we hear Bhagavatam, we should be eager to hear. When we come for these yatras, our main business is not just to move around, but to find ways and means to hear about the pastimes of the Lord. That's why we're very thankful to the devotees who have previously come here. Like Kalchakra Prabhu has been giving us wonderful pastimes of the Lord. We are thankful to Shruta Prabhu, Sri Lakshmi Mataji, thankful to Pratadashri Mataji, because they have facilitated such hearing. That is very important. So today, we have maybe for about half an hour, we can look at the next verse that we were reading from the 7th canto, 9th chapter. You will remember, I think, that we finished 793. So the next two verses, 794 and 5, they actually have no purport. So we will chant and we will read the translation, and then we go on to the next verse, which has a very wonderful purport, and that should be text 5. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Praradham preshayam asa. Brahmavashthitamantike. Tata prashamayopehi. Swapi Swapitre Kupitam Prabhum. Thereafter, Lord Brahma requested Prahlad Maharaj, who was standing very near him. My dear son, Lord Nrsimhadev is extremely angry at your demoniac father. Please go forward and appease the Lord. Tatheti Shanakai Rajan Mahabhagavato Arbaka Pedya Bhuvikayena Nanama Vidratanjalihi. Narada Muni continued, O King, although the exalted devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, was only a little boy, he accepted Lord Brahma's words. He gradually proceeded toward Lord Nrsimhadev and fell down to offer his respectful obeisances with folded hands. Now we read the next verse, 795. Swapadamule patitam tamarbakam Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha Tapya chachishni adadhar karambujam Kala hi vitrasya diyam krita bhayam Swapadamule patitam tamarbakam Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha Tapya tachishni adadhar karambujam Kala hi vitrasya diyam krita bhayam Swapadamule patitam tamarbakam Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha Tapya tachishni adadhar karambujam Kala hi vitrasya diyam krita bhayam. Maybe we have one Prabhu and one Mataji to chant. That's three Prabhus. One Prabhu.
Swapadamule patitam tamarpakam Swapadamule patitam tamarpakam Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha Tapya daksheshni yadadhat karambujam Tapya daksheshni yadadhat karambujam Kalagi vidrasta diyam pritha bhayam
Mataji?
Swapadamule patitam tamarbakam
Swapadamule patitam tamarbakam
Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha
Vilokya deva kripaya pariplutaha
Tapya tachishni adadhat karambujam
Tapya tachishni adadhat karambujam
Swapadamule, at his lotus feet, Patitam, fallen, Tam, him, Prahlad Maharaj, Arbakam, only a little boy, Vilokya, seeing, Devaha, Lord Nrsimhadev, Kripaya, out of his causeless mercy, Pariplutaha, very much afflicted, in ecstasy, Uttapya, raising, Tat Shirshni, on his head, Adadhat, placed, Kara Ambujam, his lotus hand, Kalahi, of the deadly snake of time, which can cause immediate death, Vitrasta, afraid, Dhyam, to all of those whose minds, Krita Abhayam, which causes fearlessness. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Please repeat the translation. When Lord Nrsimhadev saw the small boy, Prahlad Maharaj, prostrated at the soles of his lotus feet, he became most ecstatic in affection toward his devotee. Raising Prahlad, the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all of his devotees. Please hear the purport. The necessities of the material world are four: ahara, nidra, bhaya, and maithuna. Eating, sleeping, defending, and mating. In this material world, everyone is in fearful consciousness, sada samudvigna dhyam. And the only means to make everyone fearless is Krishna consciousness. When Lord Nrsimhadev appeared, all the devotees became fearless. The devotees' hope of becoming fearless is to chant the holy name of Lord Nrsimhadeva. Yato yato yami tato Nrsimha. Wherever we go, we must always think of Lord Nrsimhadev. Thus, there will be no fear for the devotee of the Lord. Jai. So we are right here in His temple. So why should we fear? Why should we fear? The challenge is when we leave Ahobilam. Challenge is when we go back to Chennai, go back to wherever we have come from. Then the next day and the next day and the next day, then the fear and the anxieties come. The verse before that, Prahlad Maharaj was requested by Brahma, who was standing very near him. And Brahma said, Lord Nrsimhadev is extremely angry at your demonic father. So Maharaj mentioned that what Brahmaji was saying is, he's your father, so you go and deal with him. It's basically not our problem. Because this whole thing came because of your father, you are the son, so he is the demonic father, you please go. Please go forward and appease the Lord. And the nice point here is, Prahlad Maharaj did not object. Actually, he submitted. Immediately he heard Lord Brahma's words. He was a little boy, but he was exalted. What did he do? He gradually proceeded towards Lord Nrsimhadev, and he fell down to offer his respectful obeisances with folded hands. So there was nothing in Prahlad's heart except to follow the authority. This is the greatness of great devotees. The greater the devotee is, the more humble they are. They are always ready to follow the bona fide spiritual authority. They may have inquiries, but the inquiries are always on the platform of submission. The inquiries are not on the platform of challenging. That's why the Devatas and the Asuras are different. Because Prabhupada writes in many purports that the Devatas accept the authority of Krishna. And because they accept the authority of Krishna, Krishna always bestows upon them mercy. Very often the Devatas are not considered pure devotees. But Maharaj said that even though they are not pure devotees, we can learn so much from them. Because when they are in difficulty, they only turn to Krishna. Whereas when we are in difficulty, we try all the material solutions. And when those things fail, then we turn to Krishna. So Krishna is on the side. When everything fails, we chant. But before that, we try everything. Instead, the devotees always start with Krishna. And then they try the material things. Arjuna was one such example. When the Brahmastra came, Arjuna did not try to counteract it with his own weapon, even though he was completely potent to neutralize the Brahmastra. Instead, he turned to Krishna and he chanted Krishna, Krishna Mahabaho, Bhakta Nam Abhayankara, Tvam Eko Dayamana Nam, Apavargo Hi Samsritehe. This is the mood of a devotee. So sometimes we forget that when we are in anxiety, the first thing we should do is to increase the quality of our devotional service. It can be just the chanting, it can be immediately taking Bhagavatam and reading. But very often our Guru Maharaj, when faced with great reversals, Vaishnava Prabhu and I witnessed this many times, in Rajkot or in Jamnagar or in Dwarka, when things became very difficult, instead of just deliberating on the subject, he would just say, open up the Bhagavatam and let us now start reading. And at that point, we would be thinking, where is the solution? But within 15 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour of constant reading of Bhagavatam, the fear would become less. And that's what Maharaj means. That's what Maharaj said is the meaning of fearlessness. Fearlessness doesn't mean fear is completely gone. Fearlessness means fear is less. That's why it's fearless. Maharaj said, as long as we're in this material world, fear is always going to be there. Just like as long as we have this material body, death must be there. So deathlessness and fearlessness actually means to reduce and mitigate the fear in such a way that we are always fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna. Fear for a devotee is powerful. Kamsa was highly feared by Devaki Mata in the 10th canto. But Prabhupada writes in that particular purport, those purports in the beginning are actually Prabhupada's. And Prabhupada writes in the purport that the fear that a devotee feels, the way Devaki felt for Kamsa, is healthy fear. Because Kamsa represented material association. Kamsa represents material association. And a devotee is always careful and fearful of material association. So that fear is not considered a sign of weakness. That fear is coming out of understanding the nature of the material world. That's why in Lilamrita you'll find that there was a group of devotees who went, Yamuna Mataji was one of them, they were doing chanting and Harinam, and one day they came back very late and Prabhupada asked, where did you go? And they said, we went to a pub. We thought we can chant, and we went to the pub and we chanted the holy names there too. And you know, some people expressed enthusiasm. And Prabhupada next morning told them, don't go in there again. Because these people will change you. You are still not very fixed with the chanting of the holy name. You should avoid and you should fear such material association. So fear is not a sign of weakness if it's used in devotional service. But Lord Nrsimhadev has the special monopoly to eradicate this fear. Fear of material nature. Lord Nrsimhadev has it. And that's why you find in this purport, or rather in the translation, when Prahlad Maharaj was pushed forward, Lord Nrsimhadev saw him and he bowed before his lotus feet. Bhagavatam tells us Lord Nrsimhadev actually became ecstatic. It is not that Prahlad Maharaj expressed ecstasy. Very often we find when other devotees in other circumstances, like Dhruva Maharaj, when he saw the form of the Lord, he became ecstatic. When Chitraketu Maharaj saw the form of Lord Sankarshan, he became ecstatic. When all the devotees saw the form of Krishna, they always became ecstatic. But here Lord Nrsimhadev became ecstatic. Why? Because he had affection towards his devotee Prahlad. So how much affection and how much love and how much great must be Prahlad Maharaj? That is the point we must understand. This whole Ahobilam is the glories of Nrsimhadev. But Nrsimhadev's glory has no value without Prahlad Maharaj. That is very important. The glory of the Lord is always exhibited through the affection he bestows on his pure devotees. That is why Prahlad Maharaj is so exalted. Lord Nrsimhadev became ecstatic to see him. And what did he do? Remember, Prahlad Maharaj had fallen flat at lotus feet of Nrsimhadev. Lord Nrsimhadev raised him. He picked him up. He touched him and he picked him up. And the Lord placed his lotus hand upon the boy's head, because his hand is always ready to create fearlessness in all of his devotees. So today we are so lucky, we took beautiful long darshan of all the Nrsimhadevs in this kshetra. And you can see every time the priests here are so kind, they show us all the hastams, they show us all the different paraphernalia, and every time there is the blessing hand, isn't it? So this is the blessing hand of Nrsimhadev. Even though he was so powerful just a while ago, those hands slayed Hiranyakashipu like, one can tear paper. And yet the same hands now.
Abhayahastam.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Abhayahastam.
Okay.
Fearlessness.
Fearlessness. Abhaya?
Hastam.
Hastam. Huh? The hand that gives fearlessness. So this is so nice actually. Now Prabhupada brings this whole action of Nrsimhadev into context. He brings it all into context. This is the greatness of an Acharya. We will just meditate on the pastime. But Prabhupada is pulling us now in the purport to understand a point. Prabhupada says that in this material world, there are 4 necessities. Necessity means not luxury. Wherever we go, these things are always there. Prabhupada says there is eating, sleeping, defending and mating. This is true of the animal kingdom and the human beings. This is also true of the Devatas. In all the 3 worlds of this material universe, these 4 are there. The only difference is the animals do it in animal fashion, we do it in deluxe fashion, and Devatas do it in super deluxe fashion. That's the only difference. It's just how many star hotel it is, but hotel is hotel. They are still doing the same activities. Prabhupada says in this material world, everyone is in fearful consciousness. I asked you all this morning to reflect on what causes us fear and what caused us anxiety. For those of you who were climbing yesterday, you don't know how many of us were anxious. We were trying to hear Bhagavatam, but because we were all so closely connected, we were all expressing our anxiety that our loved ones were climbing up. At some point we heard some rocks falling somewhere. And for a while I think all of us were thinking, I think one whole bunch of people must have fallen. They must have hit the rocks, and I think all kinds of graphic descriptions were going on in our head. But of course we are very sophisticated people, we don't want to express our fear openly. And of course Bhagavatam was in front of us, we had to show that we were fearless, so we continued reading. But Prabhupada says here that everyone is in fearful consciousness. There is no exception. As long as we are not with Krishna, we have that. But Prabhupada writes here that the only means to make everyone fearless is Krishna consciousness. So we have to be conscious of Krishna. That's why Prabhupada's greatest contribution to this world is that he gave us Krishna consciousness. The process works, Prabhus and Matajis. But when you don't have faith in the process, then we don't see the workings of the process. We don't have the eyes to see the workings of the process. The process is going on, but we don't see it. Maharaj said that when you get on the plane, at that moment as the plane is flying, there is very strong evidence that the plane is moving very fast. When the plane lands, by the way it lands, you know how fast it has actually descended. Particularly if you're in Jet Airways. Because Jet Airways landing is, it's the landing of all landings. It wakes you up even if you're dead. But one thing that's very important, Maharaj said, is in between when we're in the sky, we have no idea how fast the plane is moving. And at that point of time, we lose courage. Or we lose faith that we're actually flying very fast. When you translate that into our life, that's what happens. When we took up Krishna consciousness, we were very fired up. We could face anything and say nothing will touch us. After 1 year, 2 years, when we become, the more senior we become, the more afraid we become. The less faith seems to stick with us. Why? Because after a while, we become lax in our spiritual practice. That's the point Maharaj was saying. We don't take the basics we don't take it for its value. We take it for granted. Especially when we are running yatras and all, during japa time we are talking to each other. And the excuse is, these are all administrative things, we have to do it. So no choice, we have to talk to each other. During Bhagavatam time, we don't sit to hear Bhagavatam. Maharaj used to get so upset in Rajkot when half of our devotees who are all senior would be outside serving khichdi and no one would be inside to hear his class. He would be very upset. And that's why he wanted us to rotate, so that devotees outside should go inside to hear. You notice even Prabhupada would be very upset in the morning for Bhagavatam when all his senior men were not there. And when he heard that they were out doing some management, he would say, or some cleaning, he would say, you could give that to someone else to do. Someone else can be hired to clean the temple. But nobody else can be hired to hear Bhagavatam or to give Bhagavatam. So this is the reason why fearfulness comes into our heart. Because we don't have faith in the process. Maharaj said F is for faith. F is for forget. If you forget to practice, you lose faith. This is a very important point. When you forget, then you lose faith. The other thing that we forget is that Krishna is our supreme protector. This is the other thing. The other thing that we forget is that Krishna is our supreme protector. We forget that everything is dependent on Him. After a while, because of our false ego, devotional service becomes mixed. And when it becomes mixed, we are in the mode of passion, or we are in the mode of ignorance. And then we think that we are the doers. And we forget that we are actually the instruments. So that is why the moment we think that we are in control, Maharaj said, we become fearful. The moment we think that something belongs to us, we also become fearful. This is a very nice point. The moment you think something belongs to you, that moment your fearful condition begins. The moment I claim ownership over something, my anxiety has started. Now this is my bag. I say it's my bag. So the moment I claim it, if somebody picks up that bag, I'm already anxious. Now I say this is my Bhagavatam. If somebody takes his Bhagavatam, I'll kill him. I would. So would Vaishnava Seva Prabhu. So would all those who have the one volume Bhagavatam. Because we know there are also people out there who would kill us for the one volume Bhagavatam. So this is the, fighting for survival, survival of the fittest. My point is, Maharaj told us, you become fearful when you think something belongs to you. Because if you're not fearful, you're anxious. So when our children belong to us and they're climbing up, we're anxious. Because we think, they belong to me. When our husbands are climbing, we're also anxious. Because we think they belong to us. And we think that by being anxious, Maharaj said, we think that by being anxious, we think that they will be safe. We think that somehow our anxiety will become a force shield over them. But Maharaj said the anxiety doesn't help them, doesn't help you, doesn't help anyone. Doesn't help anyone. So instead of feeling anxious, we should turn that anxiety into serious study of Bhagavatam, serious chanting. We went all the way to see Pavana Narasimha. Some points, I think our hearts were in our throats. If Maharaj was in that ride, he would say, Devaki, my heart is not in the throat, my heart is on the floor. That's what he would say, because that's how it was once when we went to Dwarka. We drove 2 days using the Maruti van from Bombay to Dwarka. And Tarul Prabhu and myself were driving. We took turns. And Tarul Prabhu's driving is, really racing car driving. At the end of it, when we reached Dwarka, I told Maharaj, whenever he drove, my heart was in the mouth. Maharaj looked around, he wasn't around. Maharaj said, Devaki, at least your heart was still in your mouth. Mine was on the floor. So the point is, anxiety doesn't help us, Maharaj says. But it becomes a source of great strength when we are anxious to actually surrender to Krishna. When we know Krishna, we are not in control. That's why Arjuna prayed to Krishna. Krishna, Krishna. What is it? Krishna, Krishna, Maha. That is why Uttara also prayed, Pahi, Pahi, Mahayogini. They both knew. They were great devotees. They both knew in their moments of anxiety that there is no one who can eradicate fearfulness except the Supreme Lord. So when devotees became fearful, we became more serious in Bhagavatam. When we drove very long and we realized, now it's becoming dangerous, our chanting became better. And by the time we reached there, because he is Patita Pavan, he gave us the full mercy of his darshan. So it is not that anxiety can completely go, Maharaj said. It is not that the urges of the mind, the belly and the genitals will also go. These things are there. As long as we live, they will be there. They will be there. Tamakrishna Maharaj very nicely asked Srila Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, sometimes when I'm doing all this management and we are trying to secure land, I feel very disturbed when I try to chant. And Prabhupada said to him, I also feel disturbed. Prabhupada looked very sympathetically at him and said, I also feel disturbed. But I chant Krishna's names. See, this is the simplicity of heart of a devotee. The moment there is fear, he turns to one who can eradicate fear. Does not trying to find material solutions. Where are they? How long will it be? How bad is it? All this information doesn't help us. Better we chant Krishna's names. That is fearlessness. Otherwise, Maharaj made this important point. We will get caught in one thing. We will ponder over it. Remember his Vyas Puja lecture? we will ponder over it. And in Bhagavatam, Maharaj said the word ponder is used in another way. We will deliberate on it. The last verse of the 3rd canto, 16th chapter, 37th verse, is very important for this purport. What is that verse? Vishwasya sthiti layodbhava heturadyo yogeshware api duradyaya yogamaya shebam vidhasyati sano bhagavan striya dishash tatra smadiya vimrishena kiyani hartaha. So actually this verse is very important to eradicate fearfulness. The context is also related to Nrsimhadev in the sense of Hiranyakashipu. 3rd canto, 16th chapter, 37th verse. If you remember, Jai and Vijay had just been cursed. And now the Lord had appeared at Vaikuntha, and after the Son Kumaras circumambulated him, they left. Now the Lord reveals to Jai Vijay that your curse is my arrangement. Because I want to fight. No one to fight with. So best thing to fight with is the devotees. So he said, you too will fall. But you will fall in such a way that you will still be conscious of me. But you'll be in consciousness of me in demonic form. But even while being demons, you will remember me. This was his benediction. So as they fell, the roar of their falling was so terrible. The circumstances in which they fell, the omens that appeared as they fell, because as they fell they would be born into this world, it became so resounding that the Devatas became disturbed. And when the Devatas became disturbed, they became fearful. They became anxious. Who are these two personalities who are going to be born? Definitely they are going to look to Swargaloka. Any personality who's demonic in this material world, first target, Swargaloka. Right? Always first target, Swargaloka. Maybe the earth, but always first, Swargaloka. So Devatas became very, very scared. And they all ran to Brahma. This is the greatness of Devatas. When they are scared, at least they run to an authority. When we are scared, Maharaj said, we think we are the authority. This is our problem. We sit down there and become moros. We don't want to hear the words of our spiritual master. We don't even want to take association of more advanced devotees. Why? Because it is an ego problem. How can I explain to someone I'm actually fearful? This is how we lose good association. Good association is there when we are in difficulty. Very important. Maharaj said, what's the point when you're jumping up and down chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? Everyone is ecstatic. But the real test is when you're not jumping up and down. At that time you need to take association. You cannot become Sadhu Baba and sit in a cave. You can't help yourself. That's why we turn to authorities. So the Devatas approached Brahma, and Brahmaji gave them this very nice point. He said that, my dear sons, because they're all his sons, he said, you please remember one thing. And Maharaj said, if we remember what Brahma's instructions are, we will lose the fear. He said, first you remember that Krishna is the controller of all the three worlds. He controls everything. Hiranyakashipu forgot that. Hiranyakashipu thought he is the controller of everything. But Prahlad Maharaj told Hiranyakashipu, Father, you are not independent. Everyone is dependent on Hari. That same Hari who is protecting me is also in your heart, is also in all the pillars. So this is the first thing. Control equals to protection. And protection equals to direction. Very important. Once you accept the control of the spiritual master, that means the spiritual master's protection on you is assured. When we defy the control of the spiritual master, then the spiritual master's instructions, they are there, but they don't help us because we are not accepting them. And once we accept control, then there is protection. Maharaj always told us many times, all you have to do is obey me. Once you obey me, whatever that comes is between me and Krishna. Why you worry? You don't have to worry. One time a devotee was going to get initiated, and we all thought that she was not chanting her rounds. But Maharaj said, she's devotee, I'm going to give her initiation. And then after that, they all told me to go and tell Maharaj, Maharaj, this devotee only chanting a few rounds. So I became their spokesman. I went to see Maharaj and said, Maharaj, I don't think you should initiate this person because I'm told that she doesn't chant the 16 rounds. Maharaj told me she's chanting 14 rounds, but that is sufficient for me. I can chant her balance 2 rounds. Not to worry. I can keep her vows for her. And as I was leaving, he told me, never come back again and tell me this. Don't you dare come back and tell me who to initiate and who not to initiate. Who is going to be surrendered and who is surrendered, only I know. And who will go back to Krishna and who will not go back to Krishna, that's between me and Krishna. That's not between you and me. That's not anybody's business. This is the acceptance of authority. Where there is control, where you accept control, there is protection. And where there is protection, there is direction. That's why Krishna is known as Rishikesha. Because he directs our senses. When we surrender our senses or use our senses in his pleasure. So first, Lord is controller. Not just of one world, but all 3 worlds. Second, he is the controller of the 3 modes of nature. And no other sannyasi in our movement spoke so much about the modes of nature than Maharaj. Whenever a devotee was disturbed, Maharaj would say, Devaki, he's in the modes. That's why he's disturbed. We have to come out of the modes. And how to come out of the modes? Read Bhagavatam, study Bhagavatam, chant Krishna's names. At this moment, we are completely free of the modes because we are in Kshetra and we are engaged in Kshetra. Doesn't mean we are in Kshetra, we are out of the modes. Kshetra is transcendental, but you may not be transcendental. You may come for sightseeing. That is a difference. So 3 modes are also under Krishna. Third point, creation, preservation, dissolution of the universe. Everything is under Krishna. So Maharaj said, Krishna creates a situation. In that situation, he maintains you. And when the situation must end, he destroys the situation. This is the meaning of creation, preservation and dissolution. Not just universe, universe, universe. That's too far for you to understand. Maharaj said, when a situation comes, he has created it. Therefore, he is creator. Then, when a situation is going very nicely, he is maintaining it. Not you are maintaining it. When the situation has to end, then he is ending it. This is how you accept Krishna all in all. Otherwise, whenever we read Bhagavatam very dry, he is the controller of creation, dissolution, maintenance. What does it mean? This is what it means. And the last point is, his wonderful creative power, Yoga Maya, cannot be easily understood, even by masters of yoga. That's why Maharaj said, we cannot understand Krishna. But through the transparent via medium of the spiritual master, we can understand Krishna. Why? Because the spiritual master can allow us to understand Krishna, if he wants. So the message then, that Brahmaji ends is, that most ancient person, he alone will come to your rescue. So Jai Vijay falling, no point you being anxious. Only Krishna, that ancient person, he can rescue you. And the last point is very nice. What purpose? You can repeat. What purpose? Can we serve? On his behalf? By deliberating on the subject. What purpose can we serve on his behalf? By deliberating on the subject. What purpose can we serve on his behalf? By deliberating on the subject. This is very clear. There's no point for us to deliberate. And if you read the purport says so nicely that devotees are always put into reversals. And the reversals are so bewildering sometimes that we can't understand. Haridas Thakur, Jesus Christ. These are examples Prabhupada gives in the purport. Of course, we have not been whipped in 21 places, and yet we are suffering. Because we are getting different kinds of slaps also. So we should understand that every time we are fearful, please turn to the authority. Turn to the authority. That is what Brahmaji told the Devas, and that's what Prahlad Maharaj very nicely did to Nrsimhadev. Nrsimhadev was his authority. He followed the instructions of Narada Muni. What was the prize? The prize was unfettered, unflinching devotional service for the Supreme Lord Nrsimhadev. I just want to end by remembering this nice point. You see here Prabhupada says 4 things are necessary in this world, and these 4 things actually catch us. But one nice point in the 3rd canto, 17th chapter, immediately after this verse, first verse, very nicely it is stated that the Devatas, after hearing this, after hearing this instruction, they actually became free of problems. They became free of the fear just by hearing. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, the fact that even the Devatas were fearful is clear evidence that all the three worlds, every living entity will experience fear. Fear is even found in the kingdom of the Devatas. Even in Swarga Loka, they are also fearful. They are also fearful. But because they accepted the authority of Brahma, they became peaceful and they all retired to their respective planets. So Prabhupada says the quality of fear exists everywhere. And then he says the principal qualities of material existence, same point here, is actually eating, sleeping, fearing. He doesn't use the word defending. In this purport, he does not use the word defending. We always say eating, sleeping, mating, defending. But Prabhupada says the source of defending is fearfulness, fearing. So actually the four things that are always happening is eating, sleeping, fearing and mating. We defend because of fear. This is the reason for fearfulness. The secret is unlocked in 3:17:1. So we always say defending, but defending is one step later. All of us defend that which we think belongs to us. And we defend because it is a reaction of our fear. But the difference Prabhupada writes in the purport is, the demigods also fear, but they approach authorities. The earthly inhabitants defy authority. So nice the statement. The earthly inhabitants defy the authority, but the demigods, they approach authority. So Prabhupada ends, and this is nice to us. If people would only accept authority, then every adverse condition in this in this universe could be rectified. If people would only accept authority, then every adverse condition in this universe could be rectified. Arjuna was also disturbed, but he approached the authority Krishna and problem solved, Prabhupada writes. The conclusive instruction of this incident, Srila Prabhupada says, is that we may be disturbed by some material condition, but if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem is solved. And Prabhupada ends by saying, the demigods approach Brahma for the meaning of the disturbance. And after hearing from him, they were satisfied and they returned. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Gurudev ki, Nitai Gaura
Hari Hari. His Grace Devakinandan Prabhu ki.
Srila Gurudev ki. So take this back and reflect on it. We can discuss it some more when we have more time. I don't want to hold the yatra back because I'm a little bit worried. Balram Prabhu, are we on time as you?
Yes,
We are? Huh? Okay. So where do we go now?
Next temple, Bhargava temple.
We go to Bhargava temple
And then we go to Prasadam.
and then we go and have